Good evening. Good Wednesday night to you. It's finally Wednesday night again. And what a brutal, it's the most brutal week I've ever had after a 4-0 victory. Let me just say that. The last few games that have involved us in some way, even today's game, Bournemouth and Manchester City, just like gut wrenching all the way through.
No, but
Anyway, we're glad you're with us on American Hammers TV. We got Chris at home in
Oh,
Ohio.
yes, sir.
Headed back to school in Pennsylvania before too long, but
Yes.
now right now at home in Ohio. That looks like maybe the room you grew up in. There is that like your childhood room?
Yes, very much so. I've wondered how
That's
long
good.
it would be until everyone. That poster, Sean Casey has been out of the league and not with the Cincinnati Reds in over a decade. I think that poster is 15 years old.
I was wondering actually who it was.
Sean Casey, the mayor.
Sean Case. No, I couldn't remember. Yeah, I just couldn't remember. My most of my baseball knowledge goes back a little further than that, but that's pretty cool though. And we got in one of my favorite cities in the world, my home state of Texas. It's David in San Antonio. How you doing?
all right, doing all right, Lee. Thanks.
Good. There's nobody in the chat room yet. I hope they show up. I don't know. Maybe they don't know we're here. Hopefully we haven't preempted Hammer Shots because Hammer Shots is right before us, but they never take a whole hour. They usually take like 45 minutes, something like that. By the way, I'm going to be on Hammer Shots next week. Apparently, I was stupid enough to make the playoffs of Hammer Shots. However that works. Like I didn't really. I mean, I only did it because Tim asked me to do it, and I thought, okay, fine, I'll just go out in the first round, and we'll be done with that because it's very nerve wracking. You know what I mean? It's very really, it's like very hard. Oh, there's Ken. I see Ken's here. Neil's here.
Hey.
Foe's here. All right, that's good. It's very nerve wracking to be on the camera like that and trying to answer these questions. So I managed to get by Tim by like 1 point, and then I scored enough points to make these playoffs. So now I'm going up against John Nolan next week. It's just, I mean, that's just that's outrageous. He's going to absolutely crush me, but whatever. It's why I do these things for the good of the network. So anyway, before we get started, you guys know, check us out, AmericanHammers.net. Check out our store. A lot of cool stuff to buy. Check out, listen, if you want to be on the show, if you want to be a host, if you want to be a guest, if you want to talk about West Ham, be with us. Find us on social media. Find us on Twitter, Facebook. Twitter's probably better. I don't use Facebook very often. Twitter, we're on a lot. So find us on Twitter or go to our website, send us an email, AmericanHammersTV@gmail.com, I think. That's what it is. Anyway, it's all on our website at AmericanHammers.net. So check it out. Somebody will answer the email. Somebody will answer the Twitter message. So if you want to come on, let us know. Always want to give little plugs here and there. Our buddy Steve, who runs Bolin Badges. If you haven't seen Bolin Badges, check it out on Twitter or gone to the website. It's really good. So give him a follow. And also, I just want to wish the very best heartfelt wishes to Everton Football Club for the rest of the season. Have a deep and passionate interest in Everton winning 2 more games this year. Since they've got Bournemouth and they've got Villa. They got Villa tomorrow. And Bournemouth sometime next week. So up the toffees and all that business for the blue side of Liverpool.
And that feels weird to say, huh?
Oh, it feels horrible to say because generally I can't stand those people. But you know what? We need them, and we may not need them, but we might need them. So anyway,
we control our destiny. So
yeah, what do we do? Control our destiny, but
win out.
Right, but it's West Ham, so that doesn't do any good.
Yeah,
that's. What's going to happen, of course. You know that we're going to lose to Watford, beat Manchester United, lose to Villa.
And then we're going to sneak through on goal difference.
Right, and we're going to right exactly. So
yeah, go to like the 10th category, and we have
it's going to go to something like number of times you wore the 3rd kit or something like that. That's the 10th tiebreaker. So let me just set it up this way. So we win 4-0 on Saturday morning, early Saturday morning, and Saturday was just the best day, just beautiful, sunny summer day. Antonio scores 4 times. We're cruising, and Sunday rolls around, and Palace have checked out, so they lose to Villa because they're not interested anymore. And then Bournemouth pull off this big victory. And I don't remember who they beat now. Leicester, who are trying to play for Champions League, right? But they've bottled it here since the restart. So Bournemouth and Villa both win, and then Watford, they win too. All 3 of them do. And by Sunday afternoon, I felt as though we had lost on Saturday. Do you know? Is that feeling like this was a disaster of a weekend? Even though in our game we won 4-0, and Antonio was record-setting scorer for us because he's the first West Ham player to score for in a Premier League match. But by the end of Sunday, I was just crestfallen by
Yeah.
7 o'clock on Sunday. How did you guys feel? What did you take away from the weekend?
So for me, you can never really take away from any victory West Ham have, especially a 4-0 victory like that.
Right.
It also feels good to be the team that sends Norwich down. We eliminate one of the spots, but the other results, it just keeps us in pace. It's as if that weekend didn't happen to me. Might as well be null void. But so
That's a good way of looking at it.
It
is.
It sucks, but at the same time, we're still above. We're still outpacing. We still control our destiny, and that's where I prefer to be.
Absolutely. I'd much rather be where we are than where Villa or Bournemouth are, right?
Yeah.
Or even Watford to an extent, because I think we have a better goal differential in Watford, if I'm not mistaken. And if you look above us, Brighton are only 2 points above us.
Yeah.
Brighton are not out of this thing yet, oddly enough.
And their running is really tough too.
Their running is very tough.
I've already commented on a couple of forums that I could see them ending up with no more points for the year.
Yeah, I know. They could be a sneaky candidate to go down. Yeah. Bournemouth. I thought today, I didn't see that much of the game, but I saw a little bit of it here and there. I thought Bournemouth looked really good against Manchester City today. Really good. And they very nearly equalized. They very nearly stole a point out of that game. Their next two are against Southampton and Everton, two clubs that are sitting right in that comfortable pocket of the table. You know what I mean? Not going down, not going to play in Europe. They could put out their under 16s and nobody would care.
Kids, yeah.
Right. And that's what bothers me is,
Yeah.
We're coming up against Watford. That's a must-win match for both clubs. That's a huge, huge match. And then Manchester United are playing for Europe and they're playing well. And then God forbid it comes down to the last day, that'd be Villa, another situation where we might have to win. It's a lot of pressure. You get what Bournemouth are staring at. I know that they have to make up goal differential and 3 points on us, but Southampton and Everton, they may not show up at all. And that's what drives me batty about this time of year, like Liverpool today, just being like, whatever, we're done. We're champs. It doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
Or Palace. Palace may lose 8 in a row to finish the season. It seems possible. We could even, if we win our last 3 games and Palace pick up no points, we will pass them in the table. Which seems hard to believe.
Crazy.
It seems hard to believe, but it's true. And I'm telling you, I don't think we'll win our last 3, but I'm telling you, it's not the craziest thing that I've ever heard because Palace have checked out completely. So I don't know. What do you guys give me your take, just as you will, on what you think is going to happen these last 2 Bournemouth games and the last 3 games for Villa, or the last 2 before they play us.
Go ahead, David.
On their run-in or
I would say, what do you think Bournemouth and Villa are going to do on their run-in? Yeah.
I think Bournemouth is showing that they want it.
They are. I think so too.
They're going to chuck everything they got at it.
Yep.
I think the loss today might have really been a big setback for them. Villa, I haven't seen enough from them to show that they're going to do anything different than what they've been doing. My big concern right now is actually none of those. It's none of the other teams. It's us. I am shit scared at the moment.
I have too.
Because I watched a really poor side let us win 4-0 over the weekend, and they made us look like Man City.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got this sneaky suspicion that our boys, looking at past history, are gonna take that and sort of coast next week on the weekend or on Friday.
I worry about that too. I think Norwich flattered us big time.
Yeah.
Big time. I know they're playing. Go ahead. Sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
No. I was just coming.
We weren't playing that well. We were playing good football, and to be fair, to be fair, over the last few weeks, I've seen what can be called a style of football that Moyes is trying to get us to play,
Hmm.
and I am for it. I like what I'm seeing so far,
I do too.
Yeah.
but I don't think we were as good as Norwich made us look on the weekend.
I don't think we are either. And Watford are sneaky good right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in form. They're playing. Listen, they're playing to stay up too, and they're in form. And I think they have at least as many points as we do since the restart. Between Watford and Bournemouth, that's why I'm kind of hoping Brighton will slip, because I'd love to have another club, in danger down there to kind of pad us from falling into the bottom three. I think this match against Watford is a must-win for both teams, and I can see it playing out into a draw as a result.
Yeah.
Maybe even a fairly high-scoring draw, maybe like a 2-2.
I would take a draw. In all reality, I would take a draw.
Well, it would help
I think
us.
honestly, we could shake hands on that one and both be safe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, because you think about, Bournemouth are 3 behind us, but they have a 10-goal deficit to make up, which they're probably not going to make up, right, in 2 games. So they really need a win and a draw. Southampton and Everton win and a draw. The way they're playing right now, I could see them winning both those games is the problem. I could absolutely see them taking 4 points because they played well. They drew with Spurs, a good Spurs team that are in pretty good form. They beat a Leicester team that was, that's trying to stay in the top 4. They played really well against the form team in the league right now, Manchester City. They have, they've got their mojo working basically. And what bothers me is they're going to play these 2 clubs that are floating in the, again, the comfortable part of the table. I could see Bournemouth picking up points. However, Southampton is the one I could see maybe turning them over because they've played pretty well too, and they have a good manager. Everton looked checked out to me, totally checked out. But they need a win and a draw, realistically, because 3 points is not going to be enough. I'm talking about if we pick up 0 more points, right? If we stay where we are, if we lose the last 3 games and we don't get crushed on goal differential, realistically they need 4 points because of goal differential. And then Villa, Villa probably need 6. But at the same time, again, they're going to get Everton. Who knows? Arsenal looked pretty good today, but then they didn't look so good against Tottenham. And they're really teetering on the brink of not being in Europe. So I don't know where they're going to be by the time. I just don't know. It all depends at this time of the season on who has what to play for, who's concentrating, who's not. And I'm with Foe on this one. This is what we need to watch out for. I would not be upset if Moyes, set up defensively and played for a draw in that match. Sorry, I know that's not what I'm supposed to say, but I wouldn't be upset at that at all.
Totally
I would love to, if we came out of that 0-0 or even losing 1-0, that's not the end of the world to me. As long as we beat Watford this weekend.
If we beat Watford, I think we're golden.
I think we're in really good shape.
Yeah. It would almost be like you would need the stars to align at that point for us not to stay up if we can beat Watford. So I'm kind of the same way. As if we manage to get a victory in this, I think we're pretty well safe.
Yeah, and I mean, against Gary, I think with Watford, I think you got to go all out. I think Gary's talking about Manchester United though, and I'm not. Let's see what happens on Friday. You know what I mean? I'm with you guys. I think if we beat Watford, we put them 3 points behind us at that point. And then we, depending on what happens tomorrow, we could really bury Villa and Bournemouth. Almost be mathematically safe, I would think, at that point. So yeah, it's it's just a feeling that I kind of, and I shouldn't have done this because I know better. After Saturday morning, I kind of thought to myself, I feel pretty good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then Sunday comes along and it kicks me in the nuts. It just, by the end of Sunday, I'm like, I can't believe we are where we started the day. I mean, that's crazy. We should have been, 7 points up, 6 points up, whatever. So it was kind of a brutal, feeling. But
that was kind of brutal 180 for you.
It was for me, and I think it doesn't help that I was on Twitter a lot, and everybody on Twitter was kind of freaking out. You know what I mean? Dude, Twitter's a bad environment for West Ham fans because people are freaking out, and everybody's saying, "Oh, we're going to go down, we're going to go down,"
They're completely toxic or one of the best places in the world.
Yeah, it's about 90-10 toward toxic. I think. But, so Gary's saying we should go all out for Watford. I'm totally with you. I think.
Yeah.
I think, and I want to see what David says when he gets back. So in terms of the team you put out for Watford, do you put the same team out that played Norwich? I fear the same thing that you guys fear, which is that Norwich really flattered us.
Yeah.
Now they were playing for their Premier League lives. Technically,
Mm.
they could have stayed up, but they were going to have to win like their 4 remaining. It was very unlikely. They looked down and out. They looked finished. We scored early. After that, they really just didn't look competitive at all. Do you guys put out the same starting 11? Do you put Noble back in the middle, or do you? Fornals back on the left with Antonio up front again. Does it make sense to do that again, or do you do something completely different for Watford? My biggest concern is always down our left. Is always our left side, our right flank for the opposition, because we have Cresswell who's past it, and we don't really have a true left wing at the moment. We've been putting Fornals out there. He's really a center mid, but we've been putting him out there because we've got nobody else out there. And Yarmolenko's too slow to play on the wing. So I don't know. What do you guys think about the starting 11 for Saturday? For a Friday? How many changes do you make?
Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and say I agree with my co-host here, Irish Tommy, Noble and Fredericks. I'd like to see Ben Johnson get some more time. I think
I would too.
A lot more with Noble. Noble is more of a sub anymore, or he's good for those kind of games against the teams that almost should be a shoe-in. That's anymore. That'll be when he shines. That's why he played so well. And like you've been saying, Norwich flattered us, and they so incredibly flattered Noble. So I don't think I wouldn't go with Noble, but I would go with Fredericks, and I don't know who I would put in place of Noble. I don't know why I'm blanking.
Well, I mean, now, who was it said Wilshere? I just put it up and now I can't find it again. I actually cannot imagine why Wilshere hasn't gotten more minutes.
The only thing
there's got to be something going on with him in training or behind the scenes.
That's my thought too. Either he's injured again, which doesn't seem to be the case, or
if he's fit and he's not playing, there's a reason.
Yeah, or Moises, he's just out of favor. He's got to be out of favor because I think he's arguably our best center midfielder. I'm not sure. I mean, who else is better?
That's a massive asterisk. You have to
I'm talking about attacking, not Declan Rice and Souček. I'm talking about getting forward.
No,
number 10
asterisk is in. He's always injured. I don't think he's played once under Moyes, or probably since
he got in briefly against was it Newcastle or was it Chelsea? I can't remember. Maybe both, but he was a substitute. So
right, and he was shit.
Do you think so? I didn't think he was that bad. Well, a lot of people agree with you though, David. A lot of people said that.
He wasn't anywhere near his best. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I'll put this for a shout. And so unchanged back four, or maybe Ben Johnson in the right back spot. Defensive midfield of Souček and Rice.
Mm-hmm.
Antonio on the left, Bowen in the middle, and Yarmolenko on the right, and Haller up top.
Interesting. Allaire is.
A few people comment that as well.
Allaire is. Ken says he'll be on the bench again, and I kind of think he probably will too. I don't know what to do with him because, to be honest, I think he's a £45 million striker. I think in the right situation and on his day, he can score goals for us, but he does not look interested in playing right now to me. He still looks as though he's loafing most of the time.
No.
Do you not think so? Or do you think so? I can't tell what you're saying.
Oh, sorry. I said no as in he doesn't look like he could be bothered.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, that's what I think too. And I think that's one of the reasons we haven't seen more of him.
I think I don't know. I don't know. I think that's just the way he's wired. He's one of those guys that he's not like super high energy. Kind of like Felipe Anderson, right? Anderson doesn't get very hyped up or anything like that. He's just sort of, but even when he's doing brilliant stuff, he doesn't look very excited. He's just like one of those low energy kind of guys, laid back. I
Yeah,
think I
yeah.
think Haller's wired that way too. When he gets good service, or when he's got the right situations to play off, he's brilliant.
When he's got the right situation, which I'm not sure he's ever going to get in a David Moyes system, because he really needs two players up front with him. And Moyes doesn't like to do that. He doesn't like to, and frankly, the other problem is he's not going to get good service from Fredericks and Cresswell. It's just
Yeah.
not. You know, uh, I think he's frustrated. He's a stroppy Frenchman, quite frankly, and I think he's frustrated. And I know there's some statistic about how he's won more aerial duels than anybody else this season. I really don't care about that. I watch him play. I don't see him hustle. I don't see him run. He's the opposite of Mikel Antonio to me. Antonio puts everything on the pitch all the time. Do you know what I mean? The guy's our engine. He's everywhere. Bowen, Suchek, these guys are everywhere. These guys are hustlers. I look at Allaire and I look at Anderson when he's healthy, and I see disinterest, guys who are looking for the next paycheck. I look at Lanzini and I see a guy who I think is maybe done as a top level professional footballer. I would almost, I mean, Allaire, I think you have to have on the bench in case we get behind. I would rather not see Lanzini, would rather not see Anderson, would rather not see Allaire start, because I like what we've got in terms of energy and pace on this team right now. Another argument against Yarmolenko, who's I think very good up top, but you can't put him on the wing because he's a defensive liability. He's too slow.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, he's proven himself in this restart to be quite the super sub. So
yeah,
I like having that ability to come off the bench, whether it be for Antonio, whether it be for Bowen or whoever we put on the left. He always gives something, and he's like the Antonio. He just is going to give you 110%.
Yeah.
When the defense is weak, I mean, that's perfect for us and perfect for him.
Here's a dark horse shout. Snoddy's available, isn't he?
Oh.
Yeah, I read today that he's probably not for Watford, but he might be on the bench against Manchester United or Villa.
Oh.
Listen, if he were available, yeah, I'd stick him on one of the wings, absolutely, because he's an energy guy. He's not the best, the most skilled player. But what I think I've seen from this team in the last few weeks, even against Burnley, even though we lost, that was a Burnley style game where they just soaked up pressure and we didn't take our chances. What I've seen the last few weeks without Lanzini, without Anderson, to some extent even without Allaire, is just a lot more effort and a lot more, I hate to say pace, but I mean pace. And just like everybody going forward, everybody tracking back. Suchek and Bowen are all over the pitch. Declan Rice is probably the best in the Premier League at his position. So the biggest issue I think is, of course, our back four and our fullbacks in particular. But I love the fact that all the guys we're seeing right now look as though they want to be there. They're kind of taking that Antonio, Declan Rice lead, and they're hustling.
Yeah, and we're going to get ourselves out of this and not rely on others.
And I thought you saw it against Chelsea. I thought you saw it even against Newcastle. Definitely against Norwich, where they just, I mean, after they got up 2-0 in the first half, we just sort of paraded after that,
Yeah.
But I'm kind of this is what I'm saying. I'm kind of with Danny here. I want passion. I do. And I'm not, I know that's not a quantifiable thing. And I know there are guys like Jordan Hugill who play with passion and they're still not good enough, But
we call it Big George.
Big George. But I think, but I think these guys are good enough. So I don't know. Yarmolenko, to me, great to bring on after 60 minutes.
And even he brings the passion too. So
he does. He does. I've seen that from him too. I think you have Allaire on the bench in case, one, because Antonio is going to run out of steam, and two, in case we need goals toward the end. I mean, you stick him up top with Antonio maybe, or you do if we're behind, you need to, you need a punch. But I like the energy guys. In hockey they talk about the energy line, right? Your team's looking a little sluggish, and so you put out not your top line, but like your three guys who bring forth the most effort, they make the most hits. They're the energy line. They get you going, and that's what I like from that's what I like from what I've seen. I don't know if you guys have thoughts of that or not.
No, you hit the nail on the head. One thing I've I've been thinking for a while with like the Lanzini, the Andersons, and the Allairs. And the issue with them is that they want the things to come to them. They want the ball to come to them.
Yep.
They want to be service. Meanwhile, the Sucheks, the Bowens, even the Nobles, they go to it and make things happen if they want it. So that's the kind of, right now in a battle like this, that's the kind of player we need. So
Did you just say we need Mark Noble?
I'm just saying that his height.
We need his attitude. Yeah, we don't need
There
him.
you go.
Listen, I don't think there's any way he starts against Norwich. I mean, surely not. I'm sorry, against Watford.
No,
I-
hold on. I'll just put some food for thought on the table.
Yeah, go for it.
Now, when we were playing the midfield three with Souček and Rice behind Noble, I thought he was a lot better in that advanced role. Because one thing that Noble does do well, even though he's not quite as energetic as he used to be, he does distribute the ball well.
He does,
Listen, stuff up.
Against Norwich, if Antonio hadn't scored 4 times, Noble would have been man of the match. Yeah. He was excellent. I mean, he was. But that was against a worn out, tired, beat down looking midfield, I think anyway. Yeah. And I would much rather see Wilshere, frankly, or Fornals, who I don't think has been brilliant, but listen, people give Fornals a lot of grief, but look at the goals he's been part of. You don't like him?
I'm not sold on Fornals. Day in and day out, like if he's going to play in that number 10 role, like we've been trying to fit him in, he's got to make the difference, and I'm not seeing that enough from him.
Yeah, I mean, oddly enough, I do agree with that. I know he's not a winger. He shouldn't be a winger, but he's serviceable enough on the left that I think we can play him there for now.
No, I agree. I wouldn't say that he couldn't play the wing at all. If you watched I watched a bit of the under what was it, the under 21 World Cup?
Yeah. Or under 23 or something like that. Yeah.
He a lot of the positions that he was really doing, because he was doing some really clever stuff in that tournament. A lot of the stuff that he was doing, he was picking the ball up in wide areas and bringing it in. So I mean, I don't see a problem with playing him on the wing.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's we have two right now. Our whole left side is like, it's like we've had a stroke. It's like sort of crippled. You know what I mean? Sorry if you've had a stroke. I apologize. It's probably a really bad joke to make. I know there's a global pandemic going around, and so I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, it is. It's like you whole side of your body. Now watch, I'll have a stroke in the next 10 minutes. But anyway, it's like our whole left side is paralyzed. So I think with him, he's at least like he's serviceable out there. Because to me, the only other true left winger we have is Arthur Masuaku. And I don't know if you want to take that chance.
You know what? Playing him on the wing, I wouldn't be too scared of that.
See, I'm not against that either. Oddly enough, I'm not against that either.
With Cresswell behind him.
My biggest problem, I'll tell you what, I'm going to do, we're about halfway through. Danny was on the chat saying he was wishing he could be in the stream. We were supposed to have 4 in here tonight, so I'm going to let him in to be our 4th if you guys don't mind. If you guys are cool with that. Just because he was saying he wished he could be here. He's driving, so please don't have a head-on wreck tonight, Danny.
No, I'm listening. I would rather be in the stream to be able to talk than type, because I always, I'm in all these chats.
Oh, that makes sense. Well, now last week when we were on last Thursday, and Danny was he was a little red-faced, a little banged up, and it turned out he hadn't been, he hadn't been on the booze. He had a drunk driver had hit him head on in his truck.
What?
Right, and he was still on with us like later that day. So
West Ham.
Yeah. So, Frankel goes and has a heart attack, and he's out for like weeks. Frankel goes and has a heart attack. He doesn't come back I don't know what his problem is. He's just lazy. He doesn't put in a shift for the network. Frankel has no excuse. He had a heart attack because I beat Tim on hammer shots, and he couldn't believe I knew that much about West Ham trivia. And so, it almost killed him. But anyway, seriously, glad to have hammer shots back. Glad to have Adam back. And glad you're okay, Danny. So yeah, so let's talk about the our stroke victim on the left side. Um, I the question to me is not do you start Ben Johnson? It's where do you start him? Although I don't think Moyes will, but because you can put him on the right and replace Fredericks, who's garbage, but he can also play on the left and replace Cresswell, who is also
It's
garbage.
also garbage shit.
So it doesn't matter. So you're gonna. So my thought is, I'm actually putting him in place of Cresswell, because he's. I think Cresswell's worse than Fredericks right now. I think Fredericks was serviceable in the last couple of games.
Frederick, I will jump to Ryan Fredericks' defense. I've seen him make some uh-ohs, right? But for the vast majority of the last couple of games, he has been in the right place at the right time, and he's made some really crucial challenges.
He hasn't been that bad. I mean, against Burnley, he was not great, but our whole defense kind of collapsed a little bit against Burnley. I don't know if Danny will come back in or not. Danny, if you can do it, if not, it's understandable. He's driving, so I get it. But I think he's been, okay. But yeah, I mean, Cresswell, and I love Cresswell. I do. He's one of my favorite players in the time I've been following West Ham. But he just looks done to me. I know he's only 30, but man, he just looks done. And he's a liability out there now.
What sucks is that regardless if you were to put Johnson in left or right back, the other still is a liability to a degree. So you're kind of like, which is the better hit to take? Yeah. Would you rather have Fredericks or Cresswell? That's basically the argument to be had. For me,
yeah.
Let me have a look. I'm gonna have a look.
For me, I would probably say Fredericks. Cresswell's caused a few goals, or like been in, and kind of been in fault for a few of the goals that we've allowed since the restart.
Yeah,
Fredericks has pace, so he can get down the pitch at least.
Fredericks can go forward and put a cross in.
Yeah,
he can do it.
Yeah, the only issue
can't do that anymore.
The only issue is, though, as Tommy said in the chat, Johnson is a natural right back. So if we have to, it would kind of be, all right, do we want to develop him at right or left back and stick to it? We can't just keep bouncing him back and forth. That'll just stunt his growth or his progression.
And I agree with. Listen, if we were in, if we were in February of a normal season, if we were somewhere around the midpoint of the season, if we had played, 22, 23 games or whatever would it be, 15, 18 games, I would be more willing to see that point of view. My whole thought is we got 3 games to save our club.
Yeah, basically.
So, I mean, at this point, my thinking is you put your best players in their best positions. And I know Ben Johnson's young. He's only had a couple of appearances for us. But I think I think you got to have somebody in there with pace. You got to have somebody in there with skill. Cresswell's a huge liability to me. And I think you put him in there, tell him play left back, maybe 2 games out of these last 3, and then we'll let you develop it right back. If we stay up in the Premier League, we'll let you develop from here to eternity.
So I was just having a look. So I was looking at Watford. So Watford played was that Sarr on the left and
yes,
on the right?
Delafeu, yeah.
Yeah, I think Delafeu. I'd be worried.
Oh, but Delafeu's injured, isn't he?
Yes.
Is he out? Oh.
Yeah, he's injured. Yeah.
Well, okay then.
Sorry.
There goes your point.
So yeah, no. If Delafeu was in, I would be worried about playing a kid against him because he's pretty wily. But no, if he's injured, that's brilliant. Yeah, we'll send him off.
The one who worries me is always Troy Deeney. Troy Deeney is one of those guys. Like he's a Brad Marchand player. Like I would love him if he played for West Ham, but because he plays for somebody else, I hate him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just hate him. He's just a little punk.
Oh,
but he's good. That's the problem.
Is saying Troy Deeney is out.
What?
Do what?
Are you serious?
That's what he just said in the chat. I don't know the validity.
Wait, who said that? Oh, Danny said that? Oh, really?
Let me see here.
Hang on.
Okay, I did not know about. So Delafeu is injured, and yeah, I'm with you on that. And is Deeney out really? I could have sworn that I saw that I saw something today about how the manager said his knee problem was manageable or something like that.
Yeah, I'm reading that exact article right now.
But I mean, you know how this is. You guys know in the NFL, you got to give your injury report like on the Thursday before a game. And you don't do that in Premier League football, right?
No,
NFL.
Yeah, you
So
don't
the
tell
announcer
before the
squad's
match.
an hour before you.
right. So if for betting purposes in the NFL, if you have a player who's out, you have to list him as out, and if you list him as out, he cannot play. It's not
Yeah.
possible. So they list questionable, probable, all this stuff. Doubtful is like he's probably not going to see him.
Welbeck. Oh, I
Yeah.
forgot about
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I forgot
that.
about him too.
So many bogey players. What the
Who?
hell?
Well,
I forgot about him too, and I feel as though they're kind of they're kind of a bogey team. But then
Oh.
this same fixture last season, remember we beat him with that fantastic Mark Noble goal. I know it was
We
last
also
season.
beat
doesn't
him
really
earlier in
mean
the
anything, but-
season. I believe Allaire was his first goal for the club was against Watford.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember.
Actually.
This has been the longest season, quite literally,
Yeah, literally and figuratively.
in the history of Premier League football and probably in the history of English football, period, because it's literally gone for almost a year now.
Yeah.
It's been endless. It continues to be endless. And I can't remember what the result against Watford was.
Here,
I think I'm going to have to look it up.
I got you.
Hang on.
We won. We
Let's
won
go
the
to
match.
the,
3-1.
We won
ladies.
3-1.
Mark Noble
Okay.
penalty in the
3-1.
third minute. 2 goals coming from Sebastian Allaire.
I remember that now. Yes. Was that the one where he scored the one that was like right at the goalpost and he's like about to go? Do you remember this goal? I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, Danny
said it-
said he scored a bike.
Did he?
Must have. Danny's been spot on thus far.
No, Danny knows. Danny knows. Yeah, Danny always knows, so I'm sure he's right. I'm sure he's right. I like John's. This is what I like to hear from John right here. Progress.
Yes.
Listen, I mean, and I will say this, and I want to get you guys see
hope
how you
you're
feel
right,
about
John.
this too. Okay, our first 2 games back from the restart, pedestrian performances, typical Moyes, set up defensively, 2-0 losses against 2 teams that are good, that are playing for Europe, or were at least. I think Wolves have kind of crashed out of Champions League contention anyway. But I mean, Wolves, Tottenham, top 10 sort of talented, looked like West Ham all season long. After that, even the Burnley loss, after that, I feel as though, I don't know if we've gotten progressively better, but we flipped a switch in that Chelsea game, and we've looked better to me in the last 4 games than we have since the very beginning of the season, like a year ago. I don't know if you guys have seen the same thing or not.
I think, yeah, I definitely. I don't know if it was like fitness levels or just like getting everybody to gel back together again, or
Yeah.
or if it was just like they decided all of a sudden we want to stay in the Premier League.
Yeah, that's exactly kind of the point I was going to say. It was a combination of finally they're up to fitness, like they're ready to go, and then on top of that, they realized like the dire situation that they were in, and if they didn't start picking it up soon, they'd be playing championship football next season.
I wonder how much of that too, and I know I keep coming back to this, but I wonder how much of that is the fact that we've switched up some of the personnel, because I see Lanzini as being basically crippled at this point.
Shit.
Yeah, and I don't really, in a way, I don't blame him, because I think it's a result of his injury. He's never come back from it. He's just never come back.
Yeah, really quickly, fun fact: in that the first Watford match, Lanzini was subbed out at the end for Carlos Sanchez. When you're being subbed out for Carlos Sanchez, you got a problem.
You got a big problem when you're subbed up for Carlos Sanchez. Yeah, that's a massive problem. Yeah.
Well, hang on. If we were winning at that point,
Yeah, we were, but still.
yeah, that's.
I was probably to get Sanchez a run out, probably to save Lanzini a little bit of. I mean, that was a long time ago. When was that match played, Chris? Do you remember?
I have the date.
I mean,
here you go. August 24th.
that's
That's
almost
like-
a year ago.
That's
That
like
is-
the
yeah.
second match of the season or third match of the season.
Yeah, that was when we were under Pellegrini,
Yeah.
and we had the loss to Manchester City. Then we had that we had like the great start to the season, and then we went to Oxford.
That was our first
And then-
victory of the season.
Right.
Went to shit.
We went to Oxford, and we got tonked 4-0, and then
You were, The more we
Fabianski went
talk-
down. The whole thing fell apart.
the more we've talked about it, this has been the longest season. It hadn't hit me until now.
It's endless, and I've got to tell you, I don't know if I'm really enjoying it right now. I mean, relegation battles are tough, but something about like it's summer. My whole circadian rhythm is off here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I should not be thinking about the Bruins going to the playoffs like now. Do you know what I mean?
We should
Yeah, I mean,
we should be like panicking over like what kind of shit transfers we're gonna be doing right now.
Right. We should be
Yeah.
talking about transfer window rumors.
we,
The Bruins
right
should.
now, especially because the Euros would have been over.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. The Bruins should already have blown a playoff series at this point, right? And you know the NBA should be finished and actually getting ready to start up again in the fall.
The MLB should be halfway through the season.
Right.
And they haven't even started.
Baseball should already be so boring that I forget it exists. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You can see I'm ready to go.
No, I know you are. That's cool. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I just I like to go to the games. I don't
Yeah.
really like to watch them on TV. So yeah, my whole rhythm is thrown off. So this whole like I don't think I like this summer football stuff. I don't think I like it. I mean it's like our
For-
games have been pretty entertaining. Most of the matches have been garbage, awful.
Considering the circumstances, I mean, this is a once in a generation kind of thing. I don't think that we'll ever.
Once in a lifetime, we hope. Yeah.
I was just about to say, I don't think in our
Yeah.
lifetime we will ever see West Ham playing with 3 matches left July 15th. I don't think that that's ever going to happen again. So,
I hope it won't. I really hope not.
to experience it. It's not as fun. Like you were saying, like we should be worrying about who we're trying to bring in, what
Right.
league we're in, and we don't even know that yet.
Yeah, I mean the transfer window is now going to open in the middle of or at the end of July and then go through October. We don't even know when the season's going to. We were talking about this before we started live. We don't even know when the season's going to start in 2020, 2021. I mean, originally the talk had been like early August. Well, that's not possible now. So now they're looking at like mid-September.
Yeah,
I mean, who knows? You know. So yeah, all the rhythms are, and I feel as though like I really don't like the games without fans. It bothers me a lot that there are no fans, and I won't watch with the fake crowd noise either. I'll watch it on gold with just
I've
the
actually
players. yelling at
liked
each other.
it without the crowd noise because
Yeah,
you can actually kind of hear who is vocal, who's being a leader on the pitch.
yes, you can. I like authenticity. I don't even read a lot of fiction. I like nonfiction. I like
Same.
things that are real, and I like to watch the match as it's really happening. You know, I watched Norwich on not on gold, and you know they had the fake crowd noise, and I just couldn't stand it. You know, and after we scored our third goal, there was like fake booing. It's a little presumptuous. I mean, okay, maybe they would boo, or maybe they'd just be like,
What-
you know what, it's been a long season and we're going down, and that's the way it goes.
What I wonder, somewhere there's a guy in a room pushing buttons to make the sounds.
That's what I mean.
How do you get that gig? Right?
Yeah. How do you get that gig? How are you the
Because I want it.
and how are you the guy who? Yeah, that's one of the like 5 best jobs you could have
Right.
is just to watch football, and then
Press
like when
buttons.
there's a goal, you hit the
Boo,
cheer
yay.
button. You know, when and when
You're
the
the
opposition
hell of the
scores, you know,
winner.
when if they're the away team, you hit the boo. I mean, it doesn't sound too bad. I can't stand it. It bugs me. It bugs me. I just can't stand it. So there's a lot I'm not enjoying about this summer football stuff. You know, I just I don't know. And
The
I
only
think
thing I
most
can think of too is imagine how like if the Euros had gone on without fans, how much worse would that have made it? Like clubs are one thing, but the international teams, like you have to have fans there. Otherwise, it's just weird.
it's just
weirder.
weird.
Right.
Yeah, and I wonder. I mean, I really hope that when the Euro does happen next year, fans will be back. I mean, who knows, right? But I mean, an international tournament without fans, oh, that's even worse because the standard of football is usually not great, until you get to maybe the quarterfinals, because you get your Slovenias and stuff in there mixed in that are a little like they're not really at the same level as some of the bigger countries. So, yeah, I'm not loving it. I don't. What is your take on summer Premier League? What do you guys think of it? Are you enjoying it?
I hope they come up with a vaccine for this crap.
That's pretty much how I feel at this point. Yeah.
So we can get back to it.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of made my feelings known. It's different. I'm kind of enjoying it being in the moment. It's one of those kind of events where like you can tell future generations like, oh yeah, we were watching in the middle of July, we were watching West Ham fight off relegation.
Right.
So it's kind of one of those experiences, but I'd personally never want to experience it again. And to add to that, I mean, we're going to have something similar here in a few years. They just confirmed the World Cup in Qatar schedule.
Oh, that whole thing is just horrible.
Yeah, November 21st through December 18th.
Listen, you guys know that I don't, even among friends, I don't talk politics very often. All right. And this isn't really a political statement. That whole Qatar World Cup is a humanitarian disaster.
Yeah.
They use literal slave labor to build those stadiums. I mean, this is not rumor. This is reported. This is legit. They brought
3,000 people were going to be killed in the making of these stadiums.
Right. I don't know how many thousands have actually died. We'll never know because it'll never come out of a place like Qatar, quite frankly. But they brought people in from India. They brought migrant workers in. They took away their passports. They stuffed them in hotel rooms and apartments, 10, 12 people in a room, and they paid them nothing, and they made them go out and build this. And that's what happened. It's actual slave labor. It's like, it's like what we had in this country 150 years ago. That's how they built those stadiums. And now, they're going to play, because you can't play in the desert when it's 135 degrees. You can't play in the summer. Now they're going to cut the domestic season to play the stupid tournament in November. I think it's horrible all the way around.
Now that we're talking about it, they might actually, I'm thinking that if what they do, due to the length, they may push that season into the summer. So we may be experiencing this again in just a few years.
I kind of don't see how they won't. Either they're going to have to start it in June or July, or you know what I mean? They're going to have to either start it early or finish it late. There's no other way.
Or both. A little early.
Or both, right? Because you're taking a month and a half. And listen, I mean, I love the World Cup. All right, everybody loves the World Cup, right? It's the greatest sporting event in the world. However, the standard of football in the World Cup, until you get to those final stages, can be pretty poor. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A given week in the Premier League is going to be a better standard of football, I think, than a lot of the group stages of the World Cup. Because you're going to get, I mean, listen, I'm all for the underdogs. I am always, but you're going to get Angola qualifying and playing, Slovakia or something, and it's not going to be that great. I mean, it's just not. Or even what's worse is you get like Germany versus Angola, and it finishes like 7-0 or something, or Germany versus Brazil, which finished 7-1, but that was in a semifinal.
Nice shot.
I mean, so the World Cup, one of the beauties of the World Cup to me is that it's football in the summer when you don't usually get it. And it's like this great, refreshing sort of long drink of water. And then, but in the winter, I don't want it in November, December. I just want to watch West Ham, this is a good question. I don't want to get into it, but anyway, it's a question worth asking. It's I don't want to touch it because again, we
rabbit hole.
We keep everything lighthearted and everything here. So, but the Qatar situation is you can't ignore what's going on there. Is all I'm saying. Anyway, I guess we got about 10 minutes or so to go. Why don't we go ahead and talk about what's going to happen on Friday? Some score predictions. First of all, let's do two things. So Villa tomorrow play Everton, and I think that's at Goodison. Not that it really matters because nobody there. But it is at Goodison.
That one.
We desperately need Villa to lose. I mean, desperately need them to lose. It's going to be like what? It's a 1 p.m. game. I don't know. I'll be working. I can't really pay attention to it all that well. But
Here's the thing. If they lose that game tomorrow, a lot of the pressure is off of West Ham and Watford.
yes, absolutely.
Then
A lot of the
it's-
pressure.
Then it's a high energy.
In all
game,
reality, even if they
which
draw,
favors us, I think.
Right.
Oh.
If they lose tomorrow, then all of a sudden a draw between West Ham and Watford actually does us both a lot of good.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
in all reality, even if Villa draw, I mean, if Villa draw, it's not the end of the world.
No, it's not. They'd only pick up a point. We have a 12-goal gap on them to our favor. Again, we need to keep our goal differential, reasonable. We don't need to go out and lose 8-0 to Manchester United and have a,
What are we?
four
Clear right now?
do what?
What are we? 4 clear right now?
We are 3 clear of Bournemouth. 3 clear of Bournemouth, although they've played more than they only have 2 left. We're 4 clear of Villa, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. See, if Villa lose tomorrow and we draw with Watford on Friday, then all of a sudden you're looking at us and Watford on 35. You're looking at Bournemouth on 31 and Villa on 30. They're going to have that's
win-win. Yeah,
they have to win, both of them, basically. Yeah. So Villa loss really sorts us tomorrow. Friday. There was a famous game in the '82 World Cup between Germany and Austria, where they had to. I think it was Germany had to win 1-0, and they would both go through. The way they used to do the group stages was different back then, so that they basically just set it up to be that way. Or maybe one of them had to win 1-0. One lets the other score, then they tap the ball around for 85 minutes. It was an obvious setup. So I'm just kind of wondering if we do a little handshake deal with Watford. If Villa lose tomorrow,
totally.
we're like,
let's not beat each other up.
Let's not go crazy here. I don't know. I'm sure that's not going to happen. We have to go all out, and it's a must win because the winner of West Ham Watford, especially if Villa lose, then we really are. I mean,
safe. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're in pretty good shape at that point. I don't want to jinx anything, but Bournemouth lost. Yeah, I mean Bournemouth lost, but Ken, I mean, if you guys saw any of that game or knew how it went, that was a very tight game. I know City went up 2-0, but that was a super tight game. Bournemouth scored in the 89th minute, almost equalized after that. It was.
Bournemouth had a good three really clear cut chances in the second half, I think. Yeah,
they did, and I thought they played really well. Considering the playing maybe currently the best form team in the league. But so tell me, what do you guys think is going to happen tomorrow? Everton at home to Villa. What do you think happens there? What do you think happens with us on Friday? What are your predictions? Not knowing anything about starting 11s or anything else.
I've got to pray to the West Ham. I got to pray to the football gods and hope the Toffees drag one out. I could see it going either way, to be fair. So I am going to call a draw.
Fair. What about you,
like
Chris?
A 1-1 or 2-2.
Yeah.
I'm going to call 1-1 draw for Villa Everton tomorrow.
Yeah, I actually can see that one ending in a draw too, to be honest. I think as much as Norwich flattered us, I think Palace flattered Villa, because I don't think Villa are that good either. I think Palace have checked out, and they had a goal disallowed. A goal disallowed by VAR that was outrageous. Came off of who was it? Came off of his shoulder.
Yeah.
I mean, basically the same goal Burnley scored against us. It head, shoulder, and in. I mean, the whole VAR thing and the handball rules are just outrageous.
Yeah, we can have a whole stream just on that.
We can have a network.
I've been saying since they instituted that VAR, it needs to go. I still say that.
Yeah, it does need to go. And the concern I have is exactly what Tommy's saying here. Everton. The problem I have with Everton is that they look like Palace right now. They just don't look interested. Now, apparently last week after they lost, their manager, ripped them a new one, and who knows if that'll help or not at this stage of the season. I'm knocking on wood, and I'm saying we're going to draw out of that because I can see Villa winning that game, to be honest, the way they did against Palace. I'm hoping we get a draw out of that. Now, what do you guys think happens on Friday? Everybody's thinking we're going to win. We're getting a lot of what am I trying to say? Positivity here. So what do you guys think?
For me, I'm gonna give 2 predictions basically. One if Troy Deeney plays, and one if he doesn't.
Fair. Yep.
If he does play, I think it's gonna be 2-1 us. I think if he doesn't play, it's 2-0 us.
You think we keep a clean sheet
Yes.
like we did against Norwich?
Yep.
Yeah. I would love that. I would love that. What do you think? What do you think, David?
I think it's 2-1 either way. I'm going to put my fears aside and say that the Moisiah is going to whip the squad into shape, get them over their false hubris, from the last weekend.
Right.
And we're gonna pinch it 2-1.
Yeah. So if you guys watch the shows here, you know that I never pick West Ham to win because if I do, we always lose. So I cannot pick us to win. I think I'll say what I said about Norwich. I think it's a 2-2 draw. That's what I said about Norwich, and then we won 4-0. So we'll see what happens. I think our best chance to win is not to start Noble, is to have Ben Johnson in for Cresswell, and then other than that, probably to use the same team that we used against Norwich. In all honesty, hopefully, I'm hoping we get another 75 minutes of work out of Antonio, that his body doesn't explode at some point, because it's going too soon. This guy cannot keep this pace up for another 3 games.
I had said on a post-match live stream a couple weeks ago, I said that we needed Allaire back because Antonio never has a long run.
No, he'll be injured soon. He will.
3-4 games and then he's injured. This is one of the longest runs I've seen him on. So
yes, me too.
Get as much as you can out of the guy, but don't get him injured, because he has been one of, if not the best player thus far since the restart.
Yeah.
So you can't afford to play with kind of fate like that.
And listen, I'm with Rob on this. I would have Wilshire in for Noble. I would have Wilshire in the middle. I don't mind Fornals on the left again. I think Bowen is fantastic on the right. I obviously get Rice and Souček with the back 4. I put Johnson in, and then you put Antonio up front. But I want Wilshire as that in that playmaking role.
Advanced 3 in the midfield. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he gives us pace. I think he gives us creativity. I think he gives us a lot, and I think too. Souček has more goals in him. I agree with this. I think Bowen has another goal in him. I think the key is you got to get an Antonio who's running, who's got the energy and the engine, because right now the guy's borderline unstoppable. He really is.
He is
problems.
The Hulk right now.
He's just an absolute beast.
I believe I saw a stat that he actually is the highest goal scorer since the restart.
Yeah.
He is. I think he's now our joint leading goal scorer, or maybe he's actually our leading goal scorer for the season. He's got 8 because he scored 4.
We'll look it up.
I know Allaire has something like 7, and I think Snoddy has like 5. I mean, we don't have, any world-class strikers. We're supposed to have a world-class striker, but it hasn't worked out that way.
World-class team for a world-class stadium.
Yeah. It's like Hammers Chat. Hammers Chat has those mugs, world-class tea and a world-class mug. Yeah, I got to get one of those. Those are pretty funny.
Yes, Mikel Antonio is officially the top scorer in the club.
So he's got 8, and I think Allaire has 7, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Snodgrass has 5, and surprisingly, sitting tied for 4th is Pablo Fornals with 4.
Ooh, real quick, Hammer of the Year shout. Who's your Hammer of the Year?
That's a good one. It's a good one, David. Chris, you tell us. What do you think?
I'm going to say if we stay up, it's going to go down between Ogbonna and Antonio. I think
I agree with you.
In just a normal season, I think it would have been Ogbonna every day of the week. But the way that Antonio has played since this restart, now he's the leading goal scorer. You can't overlook him.
Neil, if this happens, Neil, I swear. if we, I mean, one, yes, I want it to happen, so we'll win. But God, you're trying to kill me. You really are. He's trying to kill me. Yeah, I think that's yeah. I'm curious.
with Rice as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to get your take on this, David. What do you think?
So yeah, I was leaning towards Antonio. Before the break, it was Ogbonna, hands down, right?
Yeah.
Since we come back, Antonio's contributed a lot, but in the one guy that's played every single minute of every single game this year and has contributed every single time, barring one or two little blips, is Declan Rice.
Yeah.
I think he's been the heart and soul of this team this year.
Oops.
You know, until Suchek first came along, but Roberto, that should be the
It's Roberto.
All right, all of the American Hammers, let's vote Roberto when the.
We should flood the ballot box for Roberto. I mean,
sorry, Brian.
Oh no, go ahead.
This was just going to be a random fact. I have still have the top goal scorer sheet up on the list. This is how long the season's been. It still lists Chicharito with 1 goal.
My word.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yep.
When did he score for us?
I don't know.
When did he even leave? I feel as though he played like 7 years ago.
Because it has Jack Wilshere with 1.
I don't remember that either. Are these league goals, or are these counting like?
Wilshere got one in one of the first couple of games that we played this year, before he got injured again, almost instantly.
That's crazy that Chicha has a goal for us this season.
Oh, the goals. Okay, sorry. It is Premier League, FA Cup, and the.
Okay, so it's all competitions.
Yes,
but we didn't last that long in the League Cup. We didn't score a goal, so it has to have been in the FA Cup. It has to have been in the FA Cup. Man, that is baffling that Chicha has a goal for us in 2019-2020. I feel as though it's like for his 3rd club. He started with us and he went to Sevilla, and then now he's at the Galaxy, right?
Yes. Here, hold on. I think Kieran just pointed this. I'll double check here. He's saying it was against Brighton. Yep, sure enough, it was in the Premier League.
Wow.
8-17.
Didn't we draw that match, or did we lose? Did we win or did we lose?
Yep, 1-1.
1-1. I thought it was
no, it was a draw. 1-1.
Because we never beat the B teams. You can look at the history of West Ham. Look all through it. Back in the days of Blackburn and Bolton, same way. Burnley, Brighton, anybody with a B, I'm telling you, we're going to lose. You put your bets down. We're going to lose or never win anyway. That's crazy. Chicha has a goal for us this season. That's I can't imagine that. So. There's a lot of shouts for. We've had Antonio, we've had Rice, we've had Ogbonna. I'll tell you what I think is going to happen personally. If I were to vote for Hammer of the Year, I would vote for Ogbonna because I thought over the course of the whole 12-month-long, 11-month-long season, he was the most consistently solid player. Not that Declan Rice wasn't. Declan Rice is just the best footballer we have, period, I think. I thought Ogbonna was the one who stepped up the most when we needed it, was the most consistently, consistent. I thought Ogbonna was a shoe-in, as you said, before the restart. I would still vote for Ogbonna based on the course of the whole season, unless he bottles at these last 3 games. You know what I mean? Unless he gives up, But I think it's going to be Antonio. I do. I think Antonio is going to win it. Because, if we stay up, that 4-goal game is going to go down in West Ham lore in history.
It already has. He's the first player for West Ham to ever do it.
Yeah, in the Premier League.
Premier League.
The last one to do it for West Ham was David Cross in 1981 against Spurs.
Right. In the league. Yeah, in the league. That's true. That's true. 1981 in the league, it was against Spurs, which that must have been tremendous. I can't even imagine. I was around in 1981, but I didn't know what West Ham was, so I missed that one. And I'm with Ken on this. This feels like it was ages ago too. I watched that at Ken's house. Tim and I watched this at Ken's house. We watched us beat Chelsea with David Martin getting the clean sheet. It was fantastic.
Oh my God, Gary! They were in Vegas for the Brighton. I forgot.
Yeah, they were in Vegas this season. That's what I'm saying. Vegas happened this season.
This season, yeah.
Chicha scored for us this season. David Martin beat Chelsea this season. You know who scored the goal to beat Chelsea? It's Cresswell.
Was it actually?
Yes. Oh, it was absolutely Cresswell. It was 100% Cresswell. Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, it was a good goal.
It was a good goal. That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
yeah.
This restart is like a weird time warp. Like it's
Yeah, we're stuck in some hole or
it's
something.
not real life. You know what I mean? It's like we're on an episode
This
of
whole-
Doctor Who or something. Or,
This this whole year since January 1st has been a freaking time warp.
it has
2020's
been
just been a shit show, you know.
because it's still basically March 2020. Like March never really ended. It
Right,
just
right.
sort of kept going and got warmer.
It's still going, yeah.
It's still
Here
going.
actually has a good shot for best moment. Roberto flying back to Spain.
Yeah. Listen. I mean, whatever you say about Pellegrini, he's the one who brought him in, and it was
And someone earlier said that we would not be in this position if Fabianski didn't go out injured and we put in Roberto. Never
that's
mind
true.
the fact that we kept putting in Roberto.
Right. I listen. If Fabianski had never gone down, we wouldn't be in this position. If we had just started David Martin,
Yeah, we would still have Pellegrini. I'd stake a claim on that.
oh, I agree.
Oh yeah.
If Burnley, listen, if Fabianski hadn't gone down against Burnley in another game we lost, we'd have absolutely we'd have Pellegrini. We'd probably be mid-table. We'd be around that Palace, Newcastle, Southampton where we're sitting in the 40s and maybe higher. I don't know. Probably not contending for Europe, but we'd be comfortably safe. Also, if we hadn't dropped 24 points from winning,
Yeah, that doesn't help either.
which is a number that's just baffling.
The
Again,
leakiest defense in the league.
We talked about this right, exactly.
You do realize,
And how do we have these managers who are supposed to be defensive masterminds? Pellegrini, Moyes, like these are not guys. This is not Gianfranco Zola who's got us going all out in attack. These are Allardyce mold guys, especially Moyes, the defensive first manager.
Without even factoring in where the points would have come from up the table.
Right.
If we were to have 24 points right now, we'd be sitting in 6th.
I know.
6th.
Forgetting about the fact that would take points away from the clubs we drop points to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
we would legitimately be challenging for probably Champions League.
We'd be challenging if you took half of those points. If you tack 12 points on, we're comfortably safe. We're riding out the season like Palace and Everton and all the rest of them. We're just like, we don't care.
12 points puts us in 11th.
That's what I'm talking about.
And that's
12 points puts us on the cusp of Europa League. So I know we twice had the lead against Newcastle. I know we twice gave it up. I kind of didn't mind a draw against Newcastle. I didn't think that was that bad a result. I think we've been better, and what I'm hoping is if we score first, I think the real key for us right now is score first. Although I know at Chelsea we came back, and that was great, but I think if we score first, it puts Watford on notice, and we're a lot more confident. We don't come from behind well. I think if we score first, we're probably going to be able to salvage a draw. But I think this team looks as though it has a little more fight in it, and a little more, a little more balls, a little more guts. You know what I mean? Than what we saw earlier in the season. And I think it's because you got Souček in there, you got Bowen in there, you got Rice as captain, which I'd like to see again. I really would rather see him in there than Noble. You got young, pacey guys. You got Antonio as the engine, and I think if we score first, we should be able to hold that, as opposed to what we've done the rest of the season. I don't know. The next 2 days, the next 48 hours, utter brutality. It's not. It's kind of not even
week. The next week is another mess. Yeah.
The next week it's kind of not even fun. This is fun. Like I like doing this, what we're doing right now, but the actual watching the games, following it's torture. Too much to take.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really enjoyable. It's more like torture. But then, who was it? Was it Nietzsche? Who was the philosopher who said that which does not kill us makes us stronger?
No, I know the saying, obviously, but I don't know.
So I don't remember who said it, but it was somebody like that. So
some really smart person.
Or somebody who thought he was smart anyway.
Yeah.
And this too, obviously this thing is VAR is just a disaster on every level. But I'll tell you what, it's not just VAR. It's this new handball rule. Where
the ball touches the arm anywhere, it's no good. Yeah.
Right. Only if you're an attacking player. If you're a defending player and the ball plays you, it's play on. If you're an attacking player and the ball plays you, like what happened to Declan against Sheffield United when we had our equalizer, chalked
yeah.
up. I mean, it's his fault that he's running, and a defender heads the ball onto his forearm.
Yeah.
He didn't move his arm. He didn't play the ball. He didn't use it. He didn't do anything.
Right.
But that rule is terrible, and should go back to the way it was before. And then
VAR, they either need to ditch it completely or find some way to do that consistently and less nitpicky. You know what I mean? Like if it's a clear and obvious offsides or something like that,
right. I don't want to see this. Gandhi really did say that, by the way. He was he wore a lot of towels, but he was was a man of great wisdom. I really don't want to see another offside that's decided by pixelated millimeters. I don't think there's even I don't think you can get an accurate shot of exactly where a player is exactly when a ball is struck. Not that goes down to the millimeter. Do you know what I mean? The length of a shoe, all right, I can see that. A hand at forearm, I can see that. But when you're
like
talking
Liverpool
about
last season where they're 3 feet offside,
right? Well, like the one we scored against Manchester United last season that should have
James Milner scored against us.
Right. I mean, Liverpool's goal against us was that last season or 2 years ago?
That was last season. I was thinking it was this season as well.
It was last season, wasn't it?
Yeah, last year, all of the stuff that VAR would have taken apart, they got scored against us.
That's right.
This year, all of the stuff that we could have got credit for, we've gotten taken away. It's the West Ham way.
At the end of last season, I said, "Yeah, bring in VAR. It can only help us. All these calls go against us, and once you look at it on the replay, it always goes our way." Well, guess what happened? We got
card.
It went exactly the opposite direction. I mean, not only that, but you can't celebrate a goal anymore. You got to look around like it's the NFL, like you're looking for a flag on the play. I hate that. There's no greater joy in sports than celebrating a goal. It's the best there is. You can't do it in the NHL anymore because they review everything. So you got to stand for 10 minutes while they review it. Football was like the last sport where you could just have this pure joy in a moment, and now that's gone too. So that's what kills me more than anything else. But yeah, and I do remember this now, Thomas. The last few seasons have just blurred in my memory, like to the extent that I can't.
And Gary too. It was right. It was right in front of the linesman.
It was right in front of the linesman. But those Liverpool shirts, well, they carry a lot of power.
Yeah,
they blend in very well. He didn't see
the red. Something about the red shirt, whether it's Manchester United or Liverpool, it's really hard to see a red shirt on a green pitch, I guess.
Within social distance.
Yeah, Gary says with right. Yeah. So it's social distancing before anybody knew what that was. I will be happy if I never have to hear that phrase again, but I know I will. So VAR, the new handball rule, it's killing the game. Just killing it. And but I was all for it. I was like, yeah, bring it on, let's make it fair. But you can't show me these images where I'm literally looking at blown up pixels. I mean, and they're sitting there trying to decide, like, are you looking at the toe of his shoe or the shadow of the toe of his shoe? Yeah, just keep it the way it was. One thing that the NFL does that I think is not bad, and college football does, is if it's inconclusive, they say, all right, we stick with what happened on the field. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, inconclusive evidence means, okay, we'll go back to what the referee's decision was. I don't think you get that in the Premier League. Now they have to make a decision. Like, even if it's insanely close, they never say, you know what, it's too close to call, let's just go back. Mm-hmm. They make a VAR decision, and it often ends up being the wrong decision. And it just, I don't know. It kills me because, again, it's like one of the things that, one of the things I enjoy most in sports, and now it's like they've taken that away too. Can't go to the bar, can't celebrate a goal, can't do anything. It's been brutal. It's been a brutal year. But you know what? If we stay up, if we win on Friday and we stay up, then at least we live to breathe another season. You know what I mean? At least we need to breathe this. So, Chris, David, you guys got anything else you want to throw in before we go?
Well,
a couple new wines.
Well, Well, I'll just say this for Tommy and I both, since Tommy is in the chat as well. We will be hosting the post-match live stream this Friday.
Oh, good. Yes.
I believe it will be 5:30. I have to talk with Tim about that.
Post-match, right.
Yeah, it's either going to be 5:30 or 6. It's going to be a relatively short stream just because I'll have to cut out kind of short because I got to travel later that night.
The game is at 3. I do not know that we're doing a watch-along this time. I watch-alongs are hard for me to do for a lot of reasons, so I never do them. But you know what? Keep a look at our social media, everybody, to see if we're doing a watch-along. If somebody's not working at 3 o'clock on Friday and can do it, we'll do it. You know what I mean? It's just it's a weekday. It's in the middle of the afternoon. It's kind of hard to do. That's Eastern time, of course.
Fortunately, I'll be at work, and my job for this summer, I'm in the back, literally just tearing apart bags and hanging clothes up. So I just I'll have my phone open and watching the match.
There you go. That's good. It's possible that I'll be on the beach. I've taken Friday off. I know it's weird. I'm taking Friday off. It's a long planned thing to see some friends in Maine, and keep it all outdoors. You know what I mean? Like, so we're not risking each other's health and all that. So I don't even know if I'll be around, but I may have to come back and watch. Like not look at social media on the way home and watch when I get home. But anyway, so 5:30 Eastern on Friday. Hopefully, a very happy, peppy, upbeat, drinking to celebrate and not drinking to drown sorrows.
Yeah, drinking to forget.
Exactly.
Probably to be doing that at 10 o'clock.
Some drink to remember, others drink to forget. So hopefully we'll be drinking to remember. Well, anyway, so Chris, always good to talk to you. David, it's really nice talking to you. Hope you're doing well in one of my favorite places in the world, and I'm sure I would love Ohio too if I'd ever been there. Actually, I've been to Cleveland.
I was going to say, I'm surprised you've never been to Ohio. At least
I've been to Cleveland many years ago. Yes,
Cleveland's kind of like the armpit.
Yeah, I was there like almost 25 years ago. It was a long time ago.
Cleveland can be fun though.
I went to Jacobs Field, or which was brand new at the time, which I don't know if it's called that anymore. But anyway, the state base, and it was pretty good.
Progressive field,
yeah, progressive. Yeah, it wasn't bad.
It's progressive.
Anyway, so you guys, I really appreciate you being on with us tonight. Everybody in the chat room, I saw a lot of people here. Thanks for being on with us. Yeah, all I can say is up the Evertons or whatever, the Toffees, whatever they call themselves, and come on, you Southampton Saints, and most of all, more than anything else,
Bournemouth or Villa.
Yeah, anybody playing Bournemouth or Villa, and most of all, come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.